Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is JWalker. I'm the guidance counselor at Tiegerman at Woodside. This is Miss Toya Davis. She is the parent liaison for all of our Tiegerman schools. We are currently going to have Miss Susan Nielsen speak about OPWDD and some of her experience and information that might be a little helpful for parents who might have a few questions and she might be able to answer some of those questions from her experience. So Ms. Nielsen, can you just give us a little background about Eric, your son?
Hi, everybody. So my son, Eric, has been with Tiegerman since kindergarten. He has a whole series of things, but health-wise, he has epilepsy. So we deal with seizures, and we've been really happy with the services that have been provided by OPWDD. We've had them for quite a bit. And, I'm kind of looking forward to helping other folks, and, feel free to reach out to me personally in the future for follow-up questions, or if you just want to chat, open to having conversations about this. It's been a great service for us and for Eric. And so, yeah, looking forward to the conversation.
All right, great. So if you can just give us a little detail about your experience working with OPWDD, like how was the process for applying for all the parents that are trying to apply now. It's going to be a little bit different considering Ms. Nielsen did apply before COVID, just so that things might be a little different now, but just what was your experience like for the application process?
So we had gone through Skip, was our service provider, it still is, and a friend had contacted me with somebody that they had used, one of the care managers. And it was about a year, I think, before we actually got it all set up and in place. And it was a lot of like series of forms to be filled out, a kind of an interview, meeting Eric, a few evaluations that had to be done. And because it was back when he was young and we had some of those evaluations already completed, we were able to submit some of those. It had to be like within a 3-year period of an evaluation to be able to, they could use those instead of having him reevaluated. But they were really, the ones that Eric had to go through were pretty simple. It was like not even half a day of just, going and meeting somebody, walking through an evaluation, and then a lot of forms. It was a lot of, they would start the process. A couple weeks later or a month later, they would send me something else in order to like move on to the next step. And Skip, really, our care manager, was great. She, helped kind of guide me along the way. It was a lot of just responding to her questions, not necessarily that I had to like go find the information. If I was like, I don't understand this form, she would go with me and like help me fill it out and make sure I was, providing the info that needed. And a lot of those forms I felt like too was just like, oh, this doesn't apply to Eric, so don't worry about this section. So it was super helpful to have her guide me through it every kind of step of the way. And yeah, it was, like I said, it was years ago. Eric's in 7th grade now, he's 12. And this happened when he was a kid, young. He was like, I don't remember what year we did this in. But yeah, it was like when he was 5 or 6 that we had started the process.
Oh, great. So you guys have had a lot of experience with it. So what kind of services has Eric had in the past? Have you gotten any new ones since he started OPWD when he was 5? Can you touch base about the different services that Eric was given?
Yeah. So when we had gone into this, the reason for it was really kind of almost looking to the future, because we knew and we were told that because it's almost easier, the process is easier to do it when they're younger than as opposed to waiting when they're older. And I was looking really to the future and being like, making sure Eric kind of is set up once he's, no longer, is an adult. So that's a reason why we had started it. But once we had it in place, the amount of services that they provide, I was like surprised and like kind of grateful that, and then speaking with friends, one of the ones he gets is respite, which is great. We have friends that have done respite with their current sitters, and then been able to supplement. So like, for instance, if the respite and that provider gets paid, let's say $15 an hour through the service, if the family wants to contribute more, or like they pay that sitter $20 an hour or whatever that is, they can just cover the balance. So the respite care we've had, community rehabilitation he's had as well. Also, it's been helpful for us to kind of narrow, what does he need to work on, like tying his shoe, like putting on his jacket, being able to open the front door. Riding a bike was one of the huge ones, the amount of independence he's been able to receive by riding a bike, and like having somebody like concentrate on a task that would be helpful and something that we can't always get to. I have two other kids, being able to sit and, um, it's been very helpful for that. Another service, so he's got Medicaid waiver, and for medications that he's had has been great. It's supplemental to, we have a primary insurance, but they cover all the copays for doctor's visits, anything kind of above and beyond that our health insurance doesn't cover. All his medications have been covered. So our primary health insurance covers most of it, and then the balance is covered by them. That's also been really helpful. When he was younger, they provide diapers. So that also, because he was kind of a late toilet trainer, it was helpful to have that. There's other services he hasn't done, but has been kind of opened up to us, to like, has been offered to us, whether, it's like additional therapy with horseback riding, or, at one point they had mentioned to us we could start tracking like receipts for like shoes and clothing and additional things that they would also cover if we submitted them. And I think there's like, I haven't done it, so I'm not sure, but I think there's like a X amount of dollars every year that is set aside that you can apply for, or provide the receipts for, and then your healthcare manager sends them in, and then you can get reimbursed. So yeah, those are, I think, all the ones that he has is ComHab, respite, and then all the medication pieces of it have been really helpful.
Oh, wow, that sounds great.
That's awesome. I am very glad that you brought up about the ComHab, because that is, I mean, as he's getting older, they'll help him with travel training. They'll help all those life skills. Like you mentioned, you have other children, so that ComHab person is going to be very important for you to teach him the life skills that you maybe don't have the time to do. And that's what families should be very well aware of, the very services that are available to them. Not everybody is going to be eligible for it, but at least they should apply and then decide, they will decide. But what I wanted to ask you, the process of the evaluation, exactly what did you have to, I mean, I know what they look for. Were they able to assist you in making sure that by going through SCIP, they knew what OPWDD was looking for, so it was beneficial for you to use that agency? We try to recommend agencies that we know will be, like YAI is a perfect example. They know what OPWDD is looking for, so that it will be helpful to the families. But I want to thank you for doing this, because this is going to be very helpful to our families going forward, and that we're recording it so they can look at it and stop it and, do what they need to do. So thank you.
So those all seem like really great services and really good resources for you as a family to have. Is there any resource? Does OPWDD like send out like a referral? Like, oh, I think Eric would really benefit from this new service that we have, or now that he's getting older, this service would be really great for him. does OPWD give you guys notifications about the different services that are available?
Yeah, so they had at one point given me, that's where we found like the if you could do horseback riding or not, is something that we had at one point looked into it. They had given me a list of like, these are other services that if they would fit for you or if something you want to be interested in. And I hadn't thought of that one as like a possibility. So they did provide that to me when he was younger. And then they have, you know, either depending on what kind of service you end up having, you either get like a monthly phone call or they can even do weekly phone calls on just like, how's it going? Is there anything that you guys need? Is there anything that you don't have that you think would be helpful? And I mean, that's kind of like open to anything. And they'll be like, you know, you could say, well, we're having a problem with, you know, getting some sort of medical supply. Can you provide me with assistance from that? To, you know, Eric's having a hard time with behavior items. Is there something that you guys can provide there? So yeah, it's kind of like a wide open, what do you kind of need? And then also they provide you like a list of like, this is what, these are things, if you haven't thought of them, like these are possibilities of something that might be helpful for you.
Oh, that's great. Very supportive.
Yes.
Yeah. The care
During the
manager,
pandemic, what was the difference between the contact during the pandemic or pre-pandemic?
so we've been modified from, I think at one point we had monthly phone calls. And then it seemed like it was almost, I was not needing it almost, you know, it was like, you know, there's not much going on, like,
Right.
especially now pandemic. I mean, he's home all the time. So his services have been less because I'm here and able to support him more with time. So yeah, they were great at modifying that. Like they noticed like, okay, it seems like every month we're having kind of the same call. I don't want to bother you. Do you want to switch this? And we can do it every 3 months or we can do it every 6 months. And then if you need more, like give us a call back. But it seems like we're having the same conversation. And I'm still taking up 15 minutes of your time every month. So they've been really
Flexibility was built in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flexibility for sure has been built in, and just being aware and kind of responsive to it has been great. And I was going to say that our case managers have definitely changed over the years. Like we had one that was probably maybe 2 years, maybe it's been the longest, but every case manager that we've had has been great. They know, you know, before they make the call to me, they know what Eric's services are. You know, it's not me giving them another history again of like, this is who my kid is. And they kind of already have questions lined up. So that's been great too. That even with the change, I mean, some of them we've become friends.
That's good.
That's great. Are there any, like, so when they send you like some new services, have you started thinking about different ones that he might have in the future that you think would benefit Eric?
I haven't really. I mean, so he's in 7th grade. So I guess the transition piece of like when he leaves high school or when he's done, I've started to think a little bit about, but not. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm hopeful that in the future, you know, that kind of ComHab support maybe grows more as he gets older. You know, like the other day, you know, whatever, a year or so ago, we were doing just trying to get the key, open the key. Like he has a lot of fine motor issues. So like putting the key in the door and turning the lock, and it's something that he wants to be independent and do. They were working on, so that was great. And I hope that like food, like being able to prepare his own meal and you know, some of those life skills, I think will be helpful to have the ComHab person
Definitely.
provide assistance with.
Definitely. That is really one of the things that I tell families about the ComHab, the assistance with, because sometimes it's easier for someone outside to teach your child these skills than for you, because you're like Maggie. They are seen as someone that's out to help them. So that community habilitation is so important, especially as they're aging, because and like you said, Eric wants independence. So it's important. That idea of learning to ride a bike, that's like his first car.
Yeah.
He's got that independence. So I think that is, it's awesome. So it really seems like it's been beneficial for both Eric and the family, the services that you have availed yourself to so far.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, as much as, as a mom and me and Eric have a great relationship, like he would much rather have somebody else
Yes.
like guide him through opening the door and making his meal and like, let's, go to the store and buy something. Like, yeah, he really enjoys having, he loves me, but he really enjoys having, you know, um, another adult kind of guide him through that. And I've had friends that their ComHab folks have, it's like some, like with a sitter, like they become kind of part of your family and, really get to know your kid and even come up with ideas on their side of like, oh, why don't we work on this? Um, so that's been great.
Yeah, because they also might pick up something that you might not really think about or really realize that things need to be changed. So they have that experience and they know your child and they're able to give you like a little heads up of, oh, we should probably start working on this. And you're like, oh yeah, that's probably a great idea.
Right. I mean, yeah, as a parent, like you tend to, I tend to, try to help almost too much sometimes. Like, whereas like, I don't realize like, oh, he's no longer 6, he's 9 and now he should be able to do more. And I'm just used to just doing his thing for him as opposed to like letting him do it. So, and
That's
it's
very, that's
yeah.
very true, because first of all, you have been so used to fighting to get him the services that he needs, that you're always looking to protect him. And I tell families that once they reach a certain age, you got to start backing away and allowing them, because he is able to do things that we thought he couldn't do. He's come a long way. So we got to give him credit for that. And
Yeah.
I think that is, it's awesome what you're doing and how you've done it so far.
Yeah. And it takes, patience, like to teach him a new skill and I know he can do it, but like it takes a lot of patience on my part and somebody else sometimes has more patience to like, let's walk through those steps again to do that one skill. So yeah.
What would you, so since every student's different, I know, what are some of the services that you would recommend for a family who is just freshly applied to OPWDD? Is there any particular service that you would highly recommend?
I think both the respite and the ComHab, the respite is what is what it's called. Like it's just being able to take a break from, and especially now, like um, in the pandemic of just being with our kids 24/7 all the time, just needing a break from like that and having that kind of financial assistance for being able to do that maybe a little bit more often, I think is helpful for the family as a whole, for the parents, for the child. So, and I feel like friends, like that's the first thing everybody goes for is like that respite support. Um,
So how does that work? How does respite work? Is it a slot of time that you put in for?
Yeah, so you can apply for however many hours you think you need within like a week. And we've never, I guess one time that they had, I need to think back now because it's been a while, but I think that we had applied for, they had recommended, why don't you apply for X? And then if you need more, we'll apply for Y. And we've never been denied. Like, it's always been within, let's say he gets home when he did go to school, he gets home at 4 or 5. It's 2 hours at the end of every day. And then on weekends, it's like a 6-hour time period. I think that's where we built up to. And we never used all of those hours, we've never had to, but they've always been kind of, for us, like gracious on the amount of time that's been given.
That's good to know, because, when families hear respite, they have no idea exactly how it works. So I appreciate you letting us know how that works, because that's so important. I mean, especially during this time, to be able to just say, have an hour that you can breathe and on your own. So thank you for letting us know about respite.
So what services does Eric like the best? How does Eric feel about all his
Well,
services?
yeah, I mean, well, like I said, that the ones that are like, we get supplement for his medication and like diapers back when we needed them, and not so interested in our cares, but like, yeah, having somebody else, come, it's like his buddy, like having a friend to like show me how to do things. I think has been his
That's
favorite.
great, and it's also good for his socialization. So he's
Yes.
able to have conversations and be social with someone outside of the house or outside of school.
Right. Yep.
That's great. Ms. Davis, do you have any other questions?
I think we pretty much covered it. I want to thank you again for doing this, because I think it's going to be very beneficial to families to be able to get some insight into OPWDD and the services that they offer, because it does seem sort of daunting when we send the information home and about the open door and all the process. So I think you put some light on that it isn't as daunting as it looks, but the steps, you need to go through the steps. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's worth it.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
for sure. Like, as no matter how long it takes, like it's worth just kind of walking through the steps and getting there. If it takes you a year to make it there, like it takes a year, and just kind of keep at it. And yeah, the guidance you get from a care provider, from a case manager is great. You just need to kind of listen to them, follow up with the next step, fill out the form, bring them. So yeah, I think I highly, highly recommend people doing it now. It'll be huge in the future.
Yes.
And it'll be helpful to have. So yeah.
All right. So again, thank you so much
Thank
for doing this with us. If anyone at home has any questions, you could email me at JWalker@Tiegerman.org, and I'll set you up with Miss Nielsen's information, and you guys can email her, and you guys could set up a time and for you guys to talk.
Yep.
All right. Thanks so much for doing it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.